The afternoon sun hung low over the park, casting long golden shadows across the playground. Children ran, laughed, and swung from the monkey bars, but on a quiet corner bench sat Daniel, a single father, exhausted yet gentle-eyed, watching his little daughter Lily play with unmatched energy. It was their weekly ritual, one of the few moments Daniel could steal away from double shifts and endless responsibilities. He rubbed his forehead and sighed, feeling the weight of loneliness settle on him again. Raising a child alone wasn't easy, but he did it with determination and love. Lily, with her bright smile and bubbling laughter, was his entire world. Just then, Daniel felt a presence approach. He lifted his gaze and froze slightly. A young girl, maybe around 10, stood in front of him. She wore a faded pink dress, her hair tied in a neat ponytail. But what caught his attention most was the metal prosthetic where her right leg should have been. She held a small book pressed against her chest, her eyes soft but hesitant. She whispered, her voice barely audible over the sounds of the playground. Can I sit here? Daniel blinked, taken aback by her nervousness. Of course, he said, instantly scooting to make space. You don't even have to ask. The girl lowered herself gently onto the bench, wincing slightly as she adjusted her prosthetic leg. Daniel noticed but pretended not to. The last thing he wanted was to make her feel self-conscious. What's your name? He asked kindly. Maya, she said, still staring down at her book. My mom, she dropped me off here for a little while. She's working nearby. Daniel nodded. Well, it's nice to meet you, Maya. She finally looked up, her eyes glimmering with a mix of shyness and relief. Most people stare or pretend not to see me, she murmured. Kids don't want me to sit with them. Daniel's heart tightened. He turned slightly toward her. Well, I do, and you're welcome here anytime. That simple sentence hit her harder than Daniel expected. Her throat tightened and her eyes filled with sudden tears. Nobody ever says that to me, she whispered. Unseen by both, Lily had stopped playing and was watching them, curious about the girl sitting next to her father, unaware that this moment would soon change all their lives. The next morning, the park was quieter than usual. Cold wind swept across the empty benches, but the single dad, Daniel, returned, this time carrying 2 cups of hot chocolate and an extra blanket. He didn't expect to see the one-legged girl again, but somehow, he hoped he would. And then he saw her. She sat in the exact same spot as yesterday, her worn crutches leaning against the bench, her tiny hands tucked under her sleeves for warmth. But today, she wasn't smiling. Her eyes were red, as if she had cried all night. Daniel approached slowly. May I sit here? He asked softly, reversing her words from yesterday. The girl looked up in surprise, then nodded quickly, trying to hide her face. He handed her a hot chocolate. Thought you might like this. Her fingers trembled as she held the cup. Thank you, sir, she whispered, and then, unable to help it, she asked, Where's your daughter today? At home resting, he replied, but she asked me to check if her new friend was okay. That broke the girl. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She tried to wipe them before he noticed, but he already had. Hey, what happened? Daniel asked, concerned. She hesitated. No one had ever asked her that before. Not sincerely, at least. Finally, she whispered, Kids at school. They don't want to sit with me. They call me slow, broken, useless. Her voice cracked. Yesterday was the first time someone asked me to sit with them. Your daughter. She made me feel like a normal girl. Daniel's heart tightened. He placed the blanket gently around her shoulders. You are a normal girl, he said firmly, and you're brave. Braver than most adults I know. She shook her head. People stare at me. They only see the missing part of me. Daniel leaned forward, his voice steady. Then they're blind, because what I see was someone strong, someone who didn't give up, someone who shows up every day despite everything. Her lips trembled. Do you really mean that? Every word. For the first time that morning, she smiled. Small, trembling, but real. Then Daniel said something that made her eyes widen. How about you join us for Christmas Eve tomorrow? My daughter would be thrilled, and honestly, so would I. She froze, shocked. No one had ever invited her anywhere. And slowly, very slowly, she nodded. I'd like that. The restaurant had grown quieter as the evening settled in, the warm lights casting a soft golden glow over every table. The single dad, Ethan, sat across from Emma, the one-legged girl who had shyly asked, "Can I sit here?" Only hours earlier. Now, after dinner, laughter and gentle conversations, something in the air felt different, deeper, heavier, and strangely beautiful. As they finished their drinks, Emma's mother, Lily, walked in. She looked exhausted, still in her hospital scrubs, hair tied back in a loose bun. She froze when she saw Emma sitting with Ethan and Chloe, smiling more brightly than she had in months.
Emma,
Lily whispered, unsure whether she was interrupting. Emma turned to her mom, eyes shining. Mom, look, this is Chloe and her dad. They let me sit with them. Lily's breath hitched. She walked closer, her eyes filled with apology and fear that her daughter had burdened strangers again. I'm so sorry, she said softly. Emma doesn't mean to bother anyone. It's been a rough year. Ethan raised a hand gently. She wasn't a bother, she was wonderful company. Chloe loved talking to her. Chloe beamed and nodded eagerly. Emma is my friend now. Those words hit Lily harder than she expected. Her eyes glistened. Emma, usually shy and withdrawn, especially after the accident that took her leg, had struggled to make friends. Kids stared, some whispered, others avoided her. But here was Chloe, hugging her like it was the most natural thing in the world. Lily knelt beside Emma, brushing a thumb over her cheek. See? I told you, the world still has kind people. Ethan hesitated for a moment, then spoke gently. If you both have time, would you like to join us for Christmas dinner tomorrow? Chloe would love it. And honestly, so would I. Lily blinked, startled. No one had invited them anywhere in a long while. She worked double shifts. Emma spent holidays quietly, watching other kids play through windows. Us? Lily whispered. Are you sure? Ethan smiled. Absolutely, nobody should spend Christmas alone, especially not you two. Emma covered her mouth, tears spilling as she whispered. Mom, he wants us. Lily nodded slowly, overwhelmed. Then, yes, thank you, truly. Chloe cheered. Emma laughed through tears, and something soft and healing settled between all of them. A new beginning. A new family forming quietly, beautifully, unexpectedly.